It's Monday, August 5. In the headlines in local news, Statin admits delays in payments to census workers. In business news, CEO of Kingston Properties, Kevin Richards, analyzes high-rise impact and investor opportunities. Regionally, Barbados to tap into Japan's farming expertise. And in sports, Jamaican trio advances to the men's discus final. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Brittany Clark. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, has acknowledged that some census workers have yet to be paid for their work on the population and housing census. The census has faced numerous challenges, including a shortage of field workers to collect data and delays in information being submitted to the agency for verification. Addressing last week's sitting of the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee of Parliament, Director of Research, Design and Evaluation at Statin, Jessica Campbell, stated that the majority of workers have been paid, but efforts are ongoing to resolve the remaining payment issues.
So payments have been ongoing. Data collection started in September and checking of the work started in November. So we were paying at 2-week intervals.
That's November of
2022. So we've been paying since then. So as soon as persons would have completed a set of questionnaires and synchronized, we check on the completeness of the work, and then would pay the monies that are due to them.
Ms. Campbell said since the main data collection ended in December 2023, some workers have been paid, whether in full or partially.
Some of them have been paid, some of them in full, some of them not altogether. What's left now to be paid are the persons whose work need to be completed, finalized, reconciled.
what percentage?
So we have maybe we have paid about 60% of the persons already. So we have about 40% left to reconcile.
And
when asked about a timeline for the completion of payment, Ms. Campbell says she could not say.
Understand that the census takers cannot go back into the field, and we know the lag in payment is an issue and persons are disgruntled, right? But we also have to ensure that we are paying for questionnaires that are due payment. I cannot say, but that by December, well, what month is this? So I won't say in the next 3 months or in the next 2 months because I am not.
Deputy Director General of the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Leisha Delati-Budair, while reporting to the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, said several emerging trends have been identified during the execution of the current housing and population census. Danita Rodney has the details.
Statin's Deputy Director General Leisha Delati-Budair, in her report, said there has been a shift in the society.
We realize that socially our society has changed. Persons are increasingly concerned about privacy. For example, for us, something that is very strange for us, a new question that gives us trouble is your age. That used to be a standard question. Now that is a question that we have an increasing item response rate on. People don't want to disclose their age.
As it relates to staffing consideration, she cited a waning interest in civic responsibilities and that there has to be increased use of technology in collecting data during the census.
Additionally, too, in terms of emerging trends, we know we have to move towards leveraging technology. We know that we have to move towards data integration. It's a topical issue. How can we leverage existing data sources to supplement some of our data collection? How can we introduce new statistical techniques in order to move away from the traditional surveys? So generally, we're moving towards more administrative data.
These views were echoed by the Director General of Statin, Carl Coy, who explained that Jamaica was not the only country experiencing issues with the 2020 round of census.
What we need to also note is that Statin was not the only Jamaica was not the only country who faced this. The global community had an issue with the 2020 round of census. And as you would have seen from my note, some of the meetings coming out of the UN Statistical Conference this year noted the problems that we had. There was COVID, which in the case of Jamaica impacted our training, because the training was to have been face-to-face. We had to rethink that in the light of COVID. We went to virtual training.
Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I am Denita Rodney.
The Ministry of Education says the emergency procurement method is being used to carry out repairs at the 94 schools severely damaged during the passage of Hurricane Beryl. Education Minister Favour Williams says this process was undertaken following review of procurement guidelines and discussions with the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service.
We indicated from the first day of seeing the rapid assessment of the damage to our schools that we would have to use the emergency procurement process given the short space of time, approximately 7 to 8 weeks, in which we have to have the priority number 1 schools in operations. We consulted with the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, once with the PSNI and the procurement lawyer at the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, and then we broadened the conversation to include NET and the Technical Services Unit, so they could ask any questions and feel comfortable that they are on good footing to deploy this methodology.
Addressing Wednesday's post-cabinet media briefing, Minister Williams said work has started at a number of the schools designated as Priority 1.
And you can see, I think, only 25 of those schools that we have to do some work to complete. We have to finalize the assessment on those in order to be able to deploy the contractors. So we are well on our way with the Priority 1 schools in the time we have left to ensure that they are ready for September 2nd.
In regards to schools who may not be able to operate at its fullest in the new school year, Minister Williams says schools may utilize the hybrid approach.
There may be situations in which the schools can pivot in part or in whole, and we are saying to schools that you have the permission to use different modalities as we work our way through the damage of the hurricane.
Mrs. Williams said school administrators will be urged to move up the start date for their usual cleanup activities. The Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, is urging patience from residents of St. Elizabeth as crews work to restore power. Frustrated by prolonged outages, residents of Coca and Vauxhall blocked roads last Friday, demanding action. JPS Media Relations Officer Audrey Williams assured that efforts are ongoing to restore electricity, saying, quote, "We understand the frustration. Our teams are rebuilding sections of the network. Over 60% of St. Elizabeth customers have power, and we're working to restore the remaining areas as quickly as possible," unquote. Williams emphasized that 96% of JPS customers statewide have already received electricity and requested a little more patience from those still affected. In more restoration updates, the National Water Commission, NWC, is reporting that at least 97% of its customers now have potable water following Hurricane Beryl disruptions. Acting Communication Manager Delano Williams stated that efforts to continue in St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, and Westmoreland. He added that the Greater Mandeville system is fully operational and significant progress is being made in Westmoreland, with teams working in areas like Jerusalem Mountain, Albany, Barnettside, and Cave. In the business report, the rental market has expanded across the island with the proliferation of new high-rise complexes. The question is, what is the state of rental prices and how can investors profit? Kevin Richards, CEO of Kingston Properties, sat down with Denise Williams and gave his take on the state of the residential rental market.
Welcome, Kevin Richards, CEO of Kingston Properties. Now, I know that Kingston Properties is mostly focused on commercial real estate.
Sure.
However, from the residential rental market, even though it's not your focus, but you're in the community. And do you have an outlook on rental prices for the next 3 to 5 years? Because, investors want to plan, and persons who need somewhere to rent also need to plan.
Yeah, I think the rental market, what we're seeing lately is a lot more units that are coming on the market for long-term rentals. A lot of persons may have purchased units hoping to capitalize on what was happening in the short-term rental market, but
You mean the Airbnb?
For a number of reasons, that may not be the model that is working for them. A lot of it has to do with some of the restrictions that have been imposed in some of these developments where you can't do short-term rentals. So they have to switch focus and focus more on the long-term rental strategy. So you see a lot more rental units popping up on the market, and that has been good for those who are looking to rent long-term, because the rates, I think, have become fairly reasonable compared to where they were 3, 4, or 5 years ago. So if that trend continues, then you'll see rental rates to be somewhat reasonable in the market for some time going forward. Now, prices, like rents are determined by demand and supply. So if you have a situation where the demand starts to rise, and there's limited inventory, then the rental rates, how much you pay for rent, is actually going to continue to rise. And it may rise at a faster pace than you'd like it to, because there's a lack of supply. I've spoken before in the past about contraction of supply in building units. So once you have a contraction of supply in units in the market, and the demand for rentals increases, then obviously rents are going to go up. I think the rents are going to remain moderate for the immediate term, but I expect that there's going to be another, and we've seen this historically through cycles where rents will remain flat for a period, then it has a spike, and then it plateaus, and then another spike. So it's like a ladder, or steps going up. So I would continue to watch that. I think it's going to be moderate for a while, but then expect some increases in a few years.
All right, thank you so much. And just to recap, if you're in the market as an investor, what you want to do is find properties where there's not a lot of competition. Yeah. Right? If you're in the market as a renter, you want to look where there's a lot of supply, which will keep prices down. Yes?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Thank you so much, Kevin Richards, CEO of Kingston Properties.
Thank you.
Time now for the latest market updates with Denise Williams.
During trading for the period August 2, 2024, the following companies represent the top 3 most active stocks that investors bought and sold on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. The following companies represent the overall volume leaders. Radio Jamaica Limited with 51,074,307 units represent 64.83% of the market volume in terms of equity sales. NCB Financial Group Limited with 18,152,749 units represent 23.04% of the market volume in terms of equity sales. Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with 2,864,993 units represent 3.64% of the market volume in terms of equity sales. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies on the stock market, we turn to the Forex market. On August 2, 2024, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US 61 million was bought from Forex traders, while US 64.9 million was sold to Forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollar for $157.74 and bought the US dollar for $155.99. The difference between the buy and sell rate was $1.75, which represents a profit for Forex traders for every US dollar traded. Canadian Forex traders earned a profit of $6.39 from transactions with the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at $115.18 and bought for $108.79. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $8.77, selling it for $203.57 and buying it for $194.80. For our credit report tip of the day, if you're experiencing extended unemployment, this can take a toll on your credit. But rebuilding it is entirely possible when you have a focused approach. So here are the steps to get you back on track. First, assess your financial situation. You're going to start by reviewing your credit report and understanding your credit score. Identify any inaccuracies and dispute them immediately. And then you're going to create a budget to track your income and expenses to build a realistic budget. This will help you manage your finances better and identify areas where you can cut costs. And with that, we wrap up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. Appreciate your company. Stay well informed, stay ahead of the curve. Until our next update, take care.
The government of Barbados will utilize Japan's farming expertise to enhance local agricultural systems. Minister of Agriculture Indar Ware highlighted the importance of this move for creating a secure environment for farmers. He discussed the benefits of Japan's advanced agricultural technology during a visit from Japanese Ambassador Kayoko Fukushima. Barbados plans to participate in Japan's upcoming Green Expo, which could benefit its horticulture sector. Ambassador Fukushima expressed Japan's willingness to support local farmers through various initiatives.
We really and truly would like to have further conversation going forward on how we can work with your government as well in meeting our food security objectives and indeed discuss future cooperation with you in terms of how we can provide technical support and training in the use of contemporary agri-food systems for our farmers and stakeholders.
We also do some aquaculture for example, eel and bluefish tuna. And we use advanced technology, like for example, in the hydroculture, like indoor, we have some facilities. And we also cooperate through international organizations.
The problem of crime in the Caribbean needs to be looked at from a different perspective. Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, says that blaming the young black man is not helpful. There's more in this report.
The problem of crime in the Caribbean needs to be looked at from a different perspective. Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, says that blaming the young black man is not helpful.
I have heard the argument that crime is effectively a public health crisis. I support that thesis because I know that the psychological harm that has been done to our people generation over generation is enormous. So when we speak of reparations, we're not just speaking about throwing money at the issue. We have to find a way to rehabilitate these young people.
The Pro-Vice Chancellor says blame does not give solutions, especially when educational initiatives and others have been implemented, and yet there are still young men who are resistant to these resources.
Those young men in Jamaica, in Port of Spain, who are wreaking havoc upon their communities, we need to find a strategy to bring these young people back into our fold. And education is one part of it, but there are other aspects of it. There are other aspects that we have to consider. This is a phenomenon. A phenomenon requires research.
Objective thinking as well, he says, is required to delve into what went wrong or what was not adequately addressed over the past 60 years to encourage this behavior. This approach, he is convinced, will lead to solutions.
In Guyana, the National Assembly on Wednesday, by a majority vote, amended the Matrimonial Causes Act, a move that will ensure there is gender equality in marriages and unions. Chief among the amendments is that it allows for parties to now petition the court for a divorce without having to show fault of the other party. The process to these amendments started in 2008 when Priya Manik-Chand, as Minister of Human Services, consulted nationally to reform divorce laws. She took part in the historic debate on Wednesday. Here are some highlights.
Maintenance is a personal thing. A husband is entitled to maintain a wife, for example, for the rest of his or her life, not beyond. That's correct. So your beneficiaries are not entitled to the proceeds of a maintenance order. And on the other hand, if the person who is directed to make the order dies, then that person's personal representatives may be compelled to continue making the maintenance order because the wife is still alive or the husband is still alive. And those are debts that flow from the estate. So not because you die means that you have to stop paying. If the beneficiary of the order is alive and if the order is for the remainder of that person's life, then your personal representatives will have to continue making payment.
The passage of this amendment can lead to other significant societal impacts, especially for women. Women can leave unhappy or abusive marriages without needing to prove fault, such as adultery or cruelty, reducing the burden of staying in harmful or dangerous relationships. No-fault divorce reduces the stigma and blame associated with divorce, providing a more neutral and less contentious process.
There is no doubt that the world has fundamentally changed. Everything has been transformed in the 21st century. The issue of alimony has not been insulated from these changes, and indeed, social unions such as marriages have not escaped these changes. Decades ago, the word gender did not exist, and it has to be recalled that women gained the right to vote in 1950. In spite of the aforementioned changes, women continue to face challenges as they attempt to accede to leadership positions within public and private organizations. We are not living in a post-patriarchal world, and while equality is an important principle, we must think of equity that must address these disadvantages. Gender plays a significant role in defining leadership roles and determining the quality of services in organizations.
I believe that divorce and ending marriages should be a last resort and should never be something that is sought after lightly. We have seen across the country, in the world, as real examples, and scientific research has shown that where you have strong families, you have strong communities, you have progress that cannot be denied. And everything we do is aimed at strengthening families from this government, strengthening individuals in the family unit and strengthening the family unit as a whole, giving families the ability to thrive economically, socially, educationally. And so,
Mr. Speaker, these amendments are long overdue. Guyana, as a whole, for many years, since the 1980s, we have been championing equal rights, and gender equality. And we are here today, and I am proud to be in this house as we make this bold step.
In sports, we look to news from the ongoing Paris Olympics. In a groundbreaking achievement for Jamaican athletes, 3 of the nation's top field athletes have advanced to the men's discus throw final at the 2024 Paris Olympics. Travis Smichael, Roger Stoner, and Ralford Mullings have secured their spots, marking a significant milestone for Jamaica in field events. Leading the charge, Travis Smichael threw 65.91 meters, finishing 5th overall. Roger Stoner followed with a throw of 65.32 meters, finishing 6th. Ralford Mullings threw 65.18 meters, placing 7th. The men's discus throw final on August 7 promises to be an exhilarating event, with the Jamaican trio poised to make history and potentially secure medals for their country. Jamaica's Kishane Thompson won silver in the men's 100 meters on Sunday at the 33rd Olympiad in Paris. Thompson clocked an impressive time of 9.79 seconds, but was narrowly beaten by Noah Lyles of the United States, who also ran 9.79 seconds. The two were separated by just 0.005 seconds in a dramatic photo finish. Thompson's silver medal is the first for a Jamaican man at a major global event since Usain Bolt won bronze in the 100 meters at the World Championships in 2017. Meanwhile, Jamaica's Oblique Seville, who was a strong medal contender, re-aggravated a groin injury during the final and finished 8th with a time of 9.91 seconds. Jamaica's medal tally at the Paris Olympics has risen to 3, following remarkable performances in the triple jump and shot put events. On Saturday, Shanika Ricketts made history by winning silver in the women's triple jump, becoming the first Jamaican woman to medal in a field event at the Olympics. In another groundbreaking achievement, Rajendra Campbell, the national record holder and champion in the shot put, secured a bronze medal. Campbell's performance marked Jamaica's first ever Olympic medal in the shot put. These historic victories highlight Jamaica's expanding prowess in field events, adding to the nation's storied legacy in track and field. That's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media pages at PBC Jamaica. Thanks for watching.